Hi, I'm David King from the Collaborative, joined by Katie Cusack and Hans Leibold, local legend, man who...
God.
We're here to ruin your Friday. It's raining out. We're all dressed in black.
Yeah.
You might know Hans from End of Year, perhaps the best podcast in existence.
Whoa.
Overnight Drive.
Really? Thank you.
Yeah, we were going over the top.
I agree, but I've never heard it said like that.
I just wanted to start on a high because we're going to get really low, and we all know this. It's going there.
Great. Let's get low.
All right. So,
In the spirit of mid-2000s scrams, let's get low. Let's get low. I got my hair cut for this.
Oh my God.
yeah, I barely ever do
Honor.
that.
That'd be good.
Our listeners can, our viewers
In
can
Clifton
attest.
Park.
Ooh.
That is where I would get my hair cut if I was going to get my hair cut.
That was my idea.
Did you go to Snippets? My daughter loves Snippets.
No,
it's for children.
A person of my profile, I don't really allow people. I don't want people to know where I get my hair done.
Oh, right.
Sure.
That's good.
Makes sense.
See, there's people out there who'll be like, "What a dick," and turn it off, and then I'll just be like, "I'm just kidding,"
Yeah.
but they won't hear that part. Yeah.
It's too late now. All right.
It's always too late.
It's true.
It's just life is just a series of too late. Oh well.
So I understand you had some concerns about coming here today.
Well, David, I'm glad you brought that up, Katie. There's a whole thing. There's been a lot of talk in the streets about the Eddies and what happened. I think we're all aware. I think it's a kind of like a lot of misjustice happened. A lot of and I'm just trying to think like maybe you guys want to say something about that. Maybe just to maybe kind of extend an olive branch to the scene that kind of feels really turned away by this.
To be frank, you should have won everything. And it's just we forgot to nominate.
Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of where I was headed with that. It's more like a, it was obviously there was it was like a lot of in an award show to have like predetermined results, like predetermined winners is like really out there. It should be more of an organic thing.
I mean, Katie and I were behind the scenes really advocating for a cage match for each award, and then proctors wouldn't front for the cage.
Yeah. I just think it's wild that for a major event that you would have sponsors. I
Yeah.
think that's so weird.
Yeah. A lot
Well,
of sponsors.
Having said that,
Just kidding, guys.
having said that, I was reading your Patreon earlier,
Uh-oh.
and
Oh, you have a Patreon.
yeah,
Oh,
and some of it sort of goes into the fact that like you don't want to read advertisements on your podcast,
No.
which I think is a really nice thing for people who want to listen to your podcast.
Oh,
'cause
absolutely, because a podcast now are all about it's 15 minutes of advertising. Because nobody wants a real job. Like nobody wants to have to go to 9 to 5.
It's
so they're
true.
like, whoa, there's money. Like, whoa. So they're like, and Andrew and I, we work, so we're like, oh, we'll just do this for fun. And then we have a sponsor, a coffee company in California named Rhetoric Coffee. But we do a barter system where they send us coffee and then we sing their praises. So it's like, I'd rather get free coffee than $30 a month.
Yeah, that's great.
Well,
It's a good deal.
I have been switching through podcasts lately, helplessly looking for something. All the political podcasts essentially tell me to use ZipRecruiter or refinance
Squarespace.
Yeah, refinance my boat or send somebody money with Cash App, which I don't do any of those things.
But it's some of those things are the gambling apps, and reverse mortgage. This is the best reverse mortgage. It's like, do you honestly there are people out there who are listening who are dumb enough to get a reverse mortgage or fuck with their equity in any way, and it's like there's no thought. It's like, oh, I just need to make the money, because it's like you're getting on in your years, and you're like, oh, punk rock didn't pay the bills, so here we are, and so now we have to do a podcast where I have to sell my soul for 20 minutes before anything starts.
Well,
And
when it really hit me was listening to some of these. I flipped through these unsolved murder cases.
Love that.
Various, yeah. I was listening to Red Handed the other day, and the British accents just keep me listening. So, and then the commercials hit, and it's like, ADP security.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, everyone's listening to this is scared for their life. They're gonna,
Yeah.
they're sitting at home waiting to get
Right.
killed. And it's,
Yeah.
oh, this is sort of predatory. This is,
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for people who want to make a buck. That's fine. You know, it's just like, if you're either trying to do one or the other. You know, it's like, you're trying to do something interesting, culturally impactful, and also do a reverse mortgage. Like, the two can't be coexist. I don't
Takes you right out of it.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And it's like, I'll listen to like Mark Maron's podcast because occasionally he interviews somebody who
Yeah.
I'm interested in, and in the middle he'll be like, "Hey, folks, real quick,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, what? Like, I just turned it off.
Yeah.
I just turned it off, and I think Patreon's the way to go for that. I listen to a few podcasts who make a considerable amount of money just existing.
Right.
Right. And they do the thing, and I think that's kind of a testament to, like, I won't say there's a right and wrong way to go about things, like in music or in podcasting or in anything, and being creative, but, you know, you should just do the thing. And if the thing's good enough, people pay attention. And if the thing's bad enough, people should let you know. And then you can correct. You know?
Yeah.
If I'm in a car with a bunch of people and I'm driving too fast, or I'm driving like a dick, I want somebody to let me know. I don't want to go on for 2 years and have people be like, "You were an awesome driver. That's great." You know? I would like somebody to let me know at some point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what happens is when you're in a scene that celebrates itself, you have, I mean, I'm a perfect example. Like, when I started, I did this thing for me, with Bare Mattress. I did this thing for me. And people were like, in the beginning, people were like, "Dude, that was awesome." And I was like, and in my head, I'm like, "No, I don't think it was." Like, I'm doing karaoke. Like, I don't think it was. But then it was like kind of an experiment. Like, it became a social experiment immediately.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody might have liked it at some point, but I don't. But it was very interesting
Yeah.
to see. And now it's like, people are very tired of it, but I still do it.
Yeah, you gotta.
Of course.
That's
Well-
the biggest thing in the scene is just perseverance. I
Not
think.
even, because that when you say perseverance, that implies like a desperation. It's like, I need to get through this storm of creativity. You know, and it's like, I just do it because it's very fun for me, and I
Yeah.
miss playing live. So and I can, like, really, like, if I play like a super dark show or something. Now that they're all in Saratoga and there's a bunch of like, and I love that it's become like the kitchen sink drain screen for all the weirdos in Saratoga.
Yeah.
Because everything else is so like lily white and proper.
Right.
And like $1,000 entry, and then you have DAs and super dark where it's like all the weirdos show up and they don't care who's playing.
Yeah.
As long as it's loud, and it might not even be good, but they don't really care. And I
Yeah.
like that because everybody takes a little bit from it, you know, and the drinks are flowing and everybody's having a good time, but in a good way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And last time I played up there, I actually honestly thought that was one of the only times people were like, "That was great," and I legitimately believed them. There was one point I was playing and I held a mirror in people's faces, and they really didn't like that. But it created like that tension. Not that, you know, not that I'm out to create tension or anything, but it's like,
Of course not.
But it did create that. But it did create that, like, that push pull, and I realized that doesn't usually happen anymore. But
Yeah.
holding a mirror in somebody's face, they really don't want to see that.
Yeah.
And I was like, everyone looked away. Every single person was like, because it was like a hand mirror I got at CVS, and everyone was like, and I thought, wow, this is fascinating that nobody wants to look at themselves, and everybody fucking hates themselves here, including the person on stage. So everybody here just hates themselves. Wow, fascinating to me. I don't know how that was the tangent.
And I did say we're going to get dark and low,
Yeah,
and we
that
just got low.
No, I think that's medium.
Oh,
a lot lower.
I'm sorry. Let me check back when we're.
It's this apostrophe cafe coffee that's really got me wired.
We're going to
I
get
just
free
did a
coffee
commercial.
from.
I did, yeah.
You did.
Get the free coffee in here, please.
Well, I you know, some of the stuff that I'm most interested in musically are things that provoke and force folks to deal with their situation. This weekend, we're visiting 24-Hour Drone. Last year, we were both there, Katie and I, and Pharmacon, or not Pharmacon. What was?
Yeah, it was Pharmacon.
It was Pharmacon, yeah. During her performance, essentially this woman was just running around in a circle.
Yeah.
and there was terrible feedback loop
Oh,
going.
it was, yeah.
And people, it was like watching a hive of bees being disrupted and just not
I
knowing
was
what to
very
do.
agitated, I'll say that.
People,
I thought you
people
were
were
about to
walking
put me
in
on the
circles.
spot.
No. People were
I was
walking in
not having
circles
it.
and pouring out and pouring in and waiting
Yeah.
for it to start, and it never started. That was
Right.
it. That was the performance.
That's
That was
great.
the gag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's the gag.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a gag.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. I was
she wasn't handing out
very
organs.
frustrated.
Which
Right.
she sometimes does. So.
But it's funny that you said gag, because I think that a lot of musicians, and like especially in the noise scene, like rarely take it super seriously.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
almost like religious, where they either sit down, it's always sitting, or they have like an old noise table that's all beat up. You know, oh, I can't get another table. I couldn't do that. You know, I have to use this old table from the '90s, of course. And it's like, and then all the pedals and but they're really just kind of only pressing one thing
Yep.
over and over again.
Right,
you know, and
right.
like. And they've got, oh, I got a fork and a plate, you know, but it's kind of a gag. It's kind of
Yeah.
like vaudeville. It's kind of
Oh,
performance.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I don't think they realize that. That's why I love that kind of music so much, because
Yeah.
it's hard on the ear sometimes. It's hard on the psyche, but it's fascinating because of the social experimentation involved.
Yeah.
I think. And wow, 24 hours of drone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do they do shifts, or do people stay up for 24 hours?
Stay up.
try to
But the
stay
thing
up.
is,
How do they stay up?
most don't.
People?
Yeah. Oh, they don't? There's a
People
woman.
bring, last year, there's a woman next to me who had an entire blow up mattress and like sleeping bag.
So is she like sleeping? And
She was out. There was an entire like orchestra and then a bagpipe set,
Oh, cool.
like back to back, and she was out, like did not, and she was right on top of them, because it's very much like they're in the middle and then everybody sits right outside of the act, and she
My father
she could
plays the
not be
bagpipes.
woken up.
You should go to the 20. I should tell him to go to the 24-hour.
Well, see, the thing that's what's sort of interesting is you get these wild acts like Pharmacon who might drive people crazy, and then you do get local bagpipers who show up, like local bagpipe clubs or local choirs, and so there's room to go to sleep. There's room to sort of feel serene and like protected, and then there's room to feel absolutely under siege. Sounds like there's some shouting outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's,
Yeah.
This is downtown Schenectady, after all. It's a beautiful city.
It is a
There's
beautiful
things
city,
happening.
and,
It's
you
like
know.
people. Those are people begging to come in and hear us talk. Then the man was turned away, and he's yelling because he can't.
He's like, whatever, later.
Yeah.
Well, I do think we should start charging, and
Yeah. You should.
Like an audience?
oh, absolutely, that guy particularly.
Yeah, he sounded like he was ready to go. And, ready to come in. His chairs here. Should,
Yeah, there's some comfy couches.
yeah.
Hang out.
Well, good luck with the
Great.
24-hour drone.
Yeah, it's going to be something.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a lot more running around this time than we were last
cool.
year, where it was like very chill.
Yeah.
We weren't doing any work at all. We were just more spectators, and this time we have to actually like do stuff,
some video.
like talk to people and shoot some video.
Get some
and-
content.
Yeah,
Content.
it's all about the content. You know, those
Yeah.
social media takeovers,
Social
all
media
that.
takeover. Oh, we have a drone. We have a bagpipe takeover. Instagram takeover.
Yeah,
Should do that.
I mean, yeah.
Should have one of the old bagpipers be like, I don't know how to use this, but here we go. Take
Just
a
like-
picture of his granddaughter. Be like, oh, this is the wildest Instagram takeover ever.
Well, they have some very ancient sitar players who have played before, and I do wonder,
You should do that. Just be like, we need you to take over. We need you. On our
Definitely
hands and
need
knees
you.
begging you to take over our Instagram for even 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like, like the Coachella. Oh, I watch a lot of YouTube because YouTube rules, and still.
It's too many ads.
See,
Circling back to the ad
yeah.
conversation, I can't. I get frustrated.
I hate.
I don't like my YouTube video to be cut off in the middle.
You have to
I'm
pay-
like, that's
gotta pay for premium.
no.
I'm not of that generation, so the
That's
only
so
time I see
irritating
YouTube is
to
when
me.
my daughter uses it. I
been-
miss the.
I've been like a day one OG, like 2007
Right.
watcher.
And I think that's why it agitates me so much when
Right.
I'm like cut off in the middle of like a
in
song.
the middle
or-
is
It's
I want
mean.
to throw a chair through a window. When
Yeah.
that happens. Well, not really. I wouldn't.
Close.
Do that. But I feel the heart wants to, but the brain says no. Mm-hmm. and and I don't then I don't throw a chair. But I do when I'm watching, especially a long thing, or I'm really into it.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be something like like I was watching a documentary about how Stalin oppressed farmers, and then in the middle it was like a Denoyer Chevrolet commercial. And I was like, it was the worst. It shocked me back to reality because I was really getting into it, and then I was like, forget it. History is done. It's all about Denoyer Chevrolet now. And I bought a Chevy, so mission accomplished. No, I didn't.
This actually this brings me back to Bare Mattress for folks who don't know about the project. You were telling me in this conversation we had months ago now that's just the magazine world.
I was very active.
Oh, it was wonderful
during that conversation. Yeah,
but that you sampled a lot of your beats from YouTube.
I did.
I mean, that's just sort of amazing. Just thinking about the wealth of sounds that are online and folks going out and buying thousands of dollars worth of equipment. But
I mean, I purposely do as little as possible and see what I can do with that. Because I spent years and years lugging gear around, driving hours and hours, and being really tired, and I don't like that. So I'm not going to do as little as possible. So there's all the drum machines that I like, like the Linn drum, Yamaha DX7, that kind of thing. Well, that's a keyboard, but still, there's some drum pads on it. I just find people selling them on YouTube, and they're like, "Here's a pattern I made up," and then it's somebody's did a nonsense drum pattern, and I was like, "I like that. I'm gonna take it," or I like that, a little bit of that, and then I just use Audacity and put it in the stereo mix for all you bedroom producers out there.
That's right.
And for all you red hot producers out there making moves, I
putting in the hours.
Yeah, many hours.
In the studio.
Yeah, shoot me some stems, bro. That kind of. Shoot me some stems, bro. I'm ready. I say that all the time, but I never get any stems. I take it from them there, and it doesn't sound awesome, but it doesn't sound bad, and I like it a lot.
Sweet spot.
Yeah, and I like it. When I listen to it, it's a strange experience listening to your own stuff and being really into it. And it's not. It feels like you shouldn't. Like, oh, I shouldn't like my own stuff. It's like wearing your own band shirt, on stage or that kind of thing, But I love it.
Yeah.
Like when we do Overnight Drive, I listen to every episode, and it's a stranger sensation to laugh at yourself doing it. Because I don't remember what I've said. I rarely remember because we go zero, we have no prep. We go just right straight off top. A lot of times we're not even in the same room. We record remotely because Andrew lives in New York City and I live up here. So we do it remotely off Skype. Then we put the MP3s together, and it works. And we've done that for years, and it sounds like we're in the same room.
Yeah.
So it's like pulling back, The Wizard of Oz's curtain for reveal or not. I don't drive to New York every week, but some people are like, "What? You're not in the same room?"
Yeah.
And they're like, get all weird about it, and I was like,
well, you have some dedicated listeners. I mean, it's
a lot of people who listen, and it's nice. I didn't think. I mean, when we first started, it was like a shock to me because it was not something that I thought would. Well, I didn't really have any thought about it, and I honestly don't remember a lot about recording the first episode. And it was it wasn't kind of not a great part of my life when we first started, and so Andrew just came and kind of saved my life. He's like, how some people, when they know their friend is going through a bad spot, they'll bring over a six-pack. Hey, let's talk about it. Oh, okay, so you decided to get help. Cool. But it was more like, hey, we're going to do a podcast, and you don't have any choice. So I'm like, okay. So I just sat there, and I was like, bah, 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 rattling off, much like I'm doing now, but in a much more manic, because David saw in our meeting, much more manic way. When I'm into something, I talk about it all the time, which you're hearing now, and I just took off from there, and it's so great.
So, were the original listeners, the original base, were they more folks who knew you from your music, or is that? And
it was entirely Self-Defense Family listeners.
Yeah,
and it was but it was a lot. It was some friends too, and then it just kind of grew from there. Where our motto is "Tell your weird friend." to listen to our podcast, and they do. And then there's, suddenly we have listeners all over the world. And I'm making friends and talking to people who live in England and Germany and everything else, and it's nice, it's cool.
Yeah.
We have listeners in Africa. Weird. We have Slovenia. We're like charting in Slovenia. It's very strange.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So do you pay attention to a lot of those details? Do you stay on top of the?
I didn't used to, and then I kind of grew up, and I was like, I still don't they don't hold a lot of weight, but I still pay attention.
Yeah.
Because we're a member of a subscription service that basically gives us our podcast ratings every week, every day, and I was like, yes, and like I see all the countries where we're being listened to, and it's like Slovenia, we're like big on Slovenia. I don't know how many people listen to podcasts in Slovenia, but it's neat, It's just neat to say that. I never thought I'd say that. When I would lie awake at night as a child, I thought I was going to be a fireman. And here we are. Yeah.
Well, another part of sort of this discussion we've had was about your musical, very thorough the revisiting of your musical inspirations.
Yeah.
But it's fun to follow you on Facebook just because of the events that you're interested in and the breadth and so sort of. I think the last thing I saw you be interested in was an Yngwie Malmsteen show, who I've interviewed twice, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it was something. It was like more than I could have ever hoped for because I was in it for like the Fender Stratocaster leather vest on a Lamborghini sort of thing, and that's what I got. Like,
great.
Yeah.
He's a very odd man.
Yep.
And he wouldn't play. He really doesn't want to play for anybody, and he played for Alcatraz with Graham Bonnet, right? And that was like the first singer I really got into, and he sung for not Deep Purple but Rainbow. And they did that song Since You've Been Gone. And he was kind of an iconoclast in the metal scene because he had short hair and he wore like a pink suit. And he was really just a rocker. And he's with all these kind of like Richie Blackmore kind of metal dudes. And it didn't really fit in, but they're like metal. That was kind of probably the first time that metal dudes were like, I like this, but I don't know why, Because it was like when Rob Halford had short hair, but he was wearing like leather, and riding a Harley on the stage. It was really metal. But this guy was like, they made him wear like a camo shirt, like a camouflage outfit to like kind of be like more cool, and it didn't work.
To blend it.
So he was wearing like a teal suit, and he's like, I'm going to branch off and do my own band, Alcatraz, with Yngwie. But Yngwie was like, I'm gonna like outstage you big time. And there's actually some live footage of Yngwie like crossing in front of, which is a major no-no, trying to steal stage, crossing in front of the singer, and at one point Graham Bonham just throws his hands up in the air. Because Yngwie's a star, And there's a video of a recording of him on a plane. You ever hear that? Yelling at a stewardess, and he says, "You've unleashed the fucking fury." That's really funny. Really funny. And so he must have been a trip to interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was amazing. It wasn't something I thought I was ever going to do, and I almost don't know why I agreed to, but I was like, if that's an opportunity that comes through, my hat's in the ring, and then it happened.
Such
and
a
I'm
good
like,
feeling.
so weird.
When you do things that you never thought you'd be able to do, or you just never thought you'd do, it feels really neat. It feels really good. Or things like when you just ask and someone's like, sure.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, you're like incredibly, like there's this guy who, like this producer who I'm really into, or this director-producer who I'm really into, who lives in Los Angeles, and I just asked him last week, I was like, are you into doing like an interview? And he's like, sure. And this is totally like not the future that we were told about in high school at all, but it's still kind of neat, because you're like, I can just write somebody on Facebook, like a fan, and be like, hey, big fan, also I do this, and would you like to? And he's like, sure. Here's my number. Call me anytime.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, like there's this expectation that you're going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get to someone or to like prove that you have something that's worth their time, and it just really depends on the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah, there's like an illusion of gatekeeping that kind of doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
It's like an illusion of like, if you're signed, you make money.
Yeah.
It's probably not true. Or if you move somewhere and make music, you're famous.
Yeah.
It's probably not true.
Or that your art matters more because you live in one place
Precisely.
versus another.
Yeah, or like you run with a certain group, so of course there's a level of quality that doesn't exist in other music, which isn't true.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of illusions going on because this is like the great wide open where people can just make up their own story now.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, good for everybody, because there's a lot of things that people place on people, like in terms of fame and celebrity, that maybe aren't true. Like if my grandmother hasn't heard of you, you're probably not famous. That's just like a baseline. Like if I go to a gas station in Oklahoma and ask the cashier if you've ever heard of me, and they say no, I'm probably not famous. Like that's just it. Fame isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
And there's but people are like, oh, they're famous, or they refer to themselves as famous, and it's probably not true. It's
Yeah.
probably not true.
And what is it worth? Why were you programmed to value this?
Yeah, you're on Facebook Marketplace selling stuff. You're probably not famous. Yeah, just saying. Legend. I mean, but it is going back to like it being a scene, like locally and elsewhere too. There's a scene very much. Instead of like we have scenes now that kind of celebrate themselves, and that goes back to like I would rather somebody tell me very quickly that I'm because there's not a lot of room for any type of critical thinking anymore. Like I haven't read a bad review in years
Yeah.
from anyone.
Or at least one that wasn't immediately like crucified.
Exactly.
No, you can't have critical thought because the sponsors don't like it.
Yeah.
And
Right. Or the
and
people
whether it's
don't like
food or it's and it's
you'll get
negative
blown up.
energy. Yeah.
Or wherever you're coming from doesn't count because
Yep.
you don't.
Understand.
Yeah.
Even though you
don't-
might understand better.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Precisely.
now, the music journalists can't exist unless they make music.
Which is absurd, but most of the music journalists I know do make music or have, or
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because then you don't want to step on any toes. You're like, well, I won't get gigs anymore if, or people won't, or I can't,
Yeah.
borrow things anymore, or I can't, I don't have it boils down to like, I don't have, I will.
The same amount of
send-
access.
Right. Like I will, my social currency accounts will go down if I say this. Right.
no, that's very true.
And there's been a lot of times where I want to be like, well, you should practice more.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you should practice more once a month. Or you should I told a friend of mine once, I was like, because his band had come back from a tour, and I was like, well, you went from being fun to being good. And then he was like wounded by that. And I said, it's not an insult. It's just like you were a fun band for the homies.
Hanging out,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're like, played for the same 30 people for like years. And then you went out and you played really well and you played continuously. And then you came back and you were exponentially better. I don't know. That's like a compliment.
Yeah.
But it was like, no.
Well, one of my favorite examples is the Susie Davidson Powell review of the Boil Shack.
Oh my God.
Which she was crucified for, and prominent local chefs came forward and
I
said,
love,
"Why would you do that?" And what's so amazing is that I would put my money down that Susie's art, her writing, which is art, it's
Fantastic
creativity,
work.
and it's fantastic, is worth so much more than whatever meal you're going to eat at the Boil Shack.
Absolutely.
And it brought probably people more pleasure just to read the crafting of her sentences than it ever did to anyone that ate a meal at the Boil Shack.
Absolutely. And table hopping is so fun to read. And Steve does a good job on that. It's just like, I call him Steve like I know who he is. Like I know him.
Hey,
Steve does a great
Steve.
job. And the guy Steve who I never met does a great job on it. And that's a perfect example. But like if there was a table hopping for music and it was like mostly good reviews, but also comments where people could launch flames.
Well, the thing with Susie is she actually does launch flames consistently.
God.
She's someone who takes pride in her understanding of food and the places she's eaten, and her intellect as a writer.
It's sort of
and,
like the
and,
worth of meals.
And once you understand that, you understand your service isn't to the owners who are trying to make money, it's to the people who are going to eat this food and whether they're going to have an experience and same with the music. It's not that you're doing your friends a favor when you're a reviewer validating an artist, you're you're critically analyzing the parts that went into it and deciding whether they turned it into a whole that is worth consuming.
And it's just an opinion.
Right.
But it's, and it's an opinion that some people value and some people don't, and that's fine. But it's an opinion that should be heard.
And it should be fun to read.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. It should be fun, at least fun to read. You read lousy reviews from years past. Even Rolling Stone would give bad reviews, like really bad, like 1 star, 2 star. Even like Pitchfork would get bad reviews. And that just doesn't seem to happen anymore.
That's why Pitchfork was entertaining, even though it was awful, and there's stories about how it ruined lives. A 1.2 review was really worth reading.
And then you let the people duke it out underneath, and that was sort of the beauty of it, And of course, it'd be like how their friends would come to their defense, and then it would be like, well, I think this, and blah, 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 and then they'd be piling on and be like, but ultimately, there was a spirit. I mean, even 10 years ago, there was a spirit of critical thought, and that doesn't really happen that much anymore, which is kind of like, and I think that lends itself to, because there's a whole thing about like, you don't want to ever be mean. And it's like, wait, I don't think you're being mean. It's just an opinion, and people take it very hard. People take any type of criticism very hard. And I am a world-class ball buster. I love it. Don Rickles' disciple. I love to bust on people for fun. And like, oh God, in the past couple of years, it's like I've done that, and people have been like gotten really mad. And I was like, I've known you for years. I can say this. And suddenly it was like somebody seeded the clouds with hubris, and then they rained down on everybody. And suddenly it's like, it's wild.
The only way to become a good writer, which is maybe something I don't know about, but at least I know how people get there, is through criticism and analyzing each other's work and putting your work out there for people to workshop and et cetera. And that's part of becoming a better artist of any sort.
And that's the thing about Bare Mattress is I fully expected the people to take a giant shit on what I was doing. And I'm sure people do, but I've never heard.
But not to your face.
I've never heard to my face. Not once.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. But I played a show a couple weeks ago, and it was literally, my music was pushing people like to the back of the room, like out. And I set up a sampler. I was like, burp, 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 burp. Like really, just it was I knew it was going to be one of those shows. So I just like I played mostly new songs and tried out some new stuff. And afterward, people were like, "Yeah, it was great." I was like, "It's fucking not great." Like, can you just tell me? Like, give me a tidbit. Give me a nugget.
Yeah.
Be like, what's going through your head? And they're like, "I don't know. I just like it." I was like, okay, maybe you're being honest. It's fine. But you don't always. I mean, it's like I'm not doing it purposely to get any reaction. Really, it's just like but I would like an honest reaction.
Yeah.
It would just be neat, It's like a spirit. Maybe I have like a spirit of like, I don't know, just like a different spirit happening. That would be nice. I mean, it's like the most cliche thing ever to complain about the way the scene's going. But, so, I totally painted myself into a corner there, so feel free to, do whatever. But it's like, it would just be nice to see, see people get some feedback and maybe apply that feedback, and because I just want people, because I really want people to, charge hard at playing the best music possible.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. And it's just not, it just doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about music that's made from a place of need and creative inspiration and even pain and things like that, and music created in a comfortable space with your friends that you do to hang out. I mean, it's just, there's different things that are...
It's like resulting from hangs. And it's sort of like, all right, well, and that must might be my taste speaking, and that's a good point. Or it's like I generally gravitate toward music that makes me feel a certain way, even if it's like Steely Dan or something. Like the twist of phrase and the lyrics are so, God, it's just like I listen to. I think some of the songs are so heavy, like the lyrics and like the syncopation and everything is just so like, it's like, God, that Redman song, "Time for Some Action"? Like that song is so hard, and I feel like a lot of I just find really heavy moments in like music that is not heavy at all.
Yeah.
And like, it's just because it's the intensity. It's the preparation. You know, you are a professional entertainer. It's the preparation for the thing. You know, it's like when I play, I want my tracks to be as loud as possible. I always tell
intention.
Yeah, I just want things to be super loud. I worked on this. I want people to be beat over the head with it. I want it to be super loud. I don't want people to hear my voice. It's not about me. It's about what's going on with the music, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's just so inspiring. Wow. You know, I hope I'm inspiring a legion of young music makers to, you know,
Play loud.
quit Schenectady Community College and just live out your dreams.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So, what else do you have coming up? When are some more Bare Mattress gigs?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought
Maybe
you had
never.
something scheduled.
Maybe.
Do I?
Maybe I was wrong.
I don't think I do.
No?
No, I don't. I do. I play songs, and you know, and I much in the tradition of people who used to play music for like on a higher level, and now don't do much of anything. I'm DJing at a bar. Every second Friday, I play.
Pine Size?
Yes, I do music at Pine Size, and I love Pine Size, and it's my liver doesn't like Pine Size, but I love Pine Size, and I play like some like kind of a like weirdo, kind of like obscure, kind of like it's just stuff that. But I realized quickly that it's like I'm playing stuff you've never heard, and then like I look around and it's like this is probably stuff that like I could play like. Aha, Take On Me, and some people would be like, I've never heard those before. You know, like I could play like the biggest songs ever from the era, you know, of the 80s, and then people would be like, I've never heard those before.
We did when we did our gig there, that's what I was doing while I was, Katie was struggling with an Uber, and I started off.
My life is just a constant struggle with an Uber, really.
Yeah.
We should write a song about it.
I should.
Yeah. But I realized that I had dug a little bit too deep, but it didn't really matter.
I think it was good.
Well, you
People
weren't
liked
there
it.
for the beginning.
Yes, I was.
No, you weren't.
You played Daughters.
Well, before that,
There you go.
Oh.
there was some Neubauten and things like that going on.
Oh, okay.
And August was totally.
he loves it.
Yeah.
August loves it.
But,
No one gets hyped like August Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, August is great. But you know, at the end, what got everyone moving were the songs they knew, and that was great. That's what
I
But
don't even get anybody moving. It's just like
Well, not that
drinking.
they're moving.
You can't.
Yeah.
No, it's impossible.
It's just
That's-
drinking and thinking.
Yeah.
But
It's a combination.
I'm not much of a drinker, and when I interviewed you there, I had, I think, a beer. And then I was hanging out before interviewing Josh from Fuzz Records the other day.
My label head.
Yes, your label head, who I'm sure is going to call and ask you to stop talking shit about your own music anytime now.
Oh, hey.
He's gonna ring you up and string you out.
I bought him a swimming pool. There's no anger there. Yeah.
So, so I had was very excited. I was going to have a beer, which is just not normal for me. And I had the beer. We did the interview, and I had the worst headache I've had, I don't know, in the last,
Just
in
say
ever.
ever.
Because I'm just so old and lame.
Nobody knows.
Yeah,
The beer wrecked me, the one, and I go to pay, and August is like, one beer? And I'm like, dude,
Wow.
I'm a sad person. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Yeah, it was pathetic.
Oh,
And lately, I've been telling Katie about all my run-ins with weed, and just how I'm just like, a guy tried to sell me weed at a mobile store, and I'm like, this hasn't happened to me in so long, and I
Wow.
don't know what to do, and I'm gonna just stand here frozen because
Yeah, you
I'm a
have.
lame dad.
You have had quite a few interactions.
I have had quite a few weed.
Nobody tries to sell me weed. I must look like a cop.
Me either.
I must look like a cop with my haircut. Yeah, dude, it's touching the mic. Jeez.
I'm so nervous talking about weed. Look at me. I'm squirming. It's
Yeah,
like
the
sweating.
police are outside.
They're gonna drug test me.
SPD. They're coming to take you
They
away.
are harsh. Don't cross the street. Do not jaywalk.
Do not jaywalk in downtown Schenectady, or you'll take your own life into your own hands.
Yeah.
You don't know how
Keep
to
your
that-
bike
that is-
off of the
We have a task
sidewalk.
force. Mm-hmm. I heard. I saw the jaywalking JTF, jaywalking task force.
Yeah.
And wow, they're really coming down on people.
Mustachioed.
They
and
know
angry.
where the true crime is.
It's
you
true,
know?
yeah.
They know where to put their time and energy.
People stumbling across the street to bombers.
Yeah.
And so, all right. So if Bare Mattress
worst.
isn't happening anytime soon,
No,
perhaps we
it's-
can. Perhaps we could add you to a bill or something. No, I don't want to hear about this.
Okay.
How are folks gonna? how should folks support the podcast, and where would you suggest an entry point into?
Well, I mean, we're on pretty much every platform. I think overnight. Just look up Overnight Drive.
But would you suggest they start from the beginning, or should they just jump in?
The beginning was pretty rough. I mean, if you're like, sure, start from the beginning. Honestly, I mean, we've done our best work, I think, in the past 100 or so episodes. So if you want to start like after 120, go for that too. But I mean, everybody's different. Everybody has, because we do. It's long enough that we do a little bit of everything for everybody, and that's the podcast right now is really my love and kind of like my thing. Bare Mattress, I'll play anytime, and I have. It's just. I book some out of town stuff. In town, it's kind of like, I think it's finally run its course. Finally run its course. But I still, I practice. You can come to the practice space and watch me if you'd like.
Okay, how about this? This year, we'll all get together. We'll write. We'll work with you. We'll collaborate on an Uber song based on Katie's experiences, and submit a drone piece, a 24-hour drone. And next year, we'll play 24-hour.
Yeah.
drone.
110%. You could do that.
Way to tie everything in.
And get that swimming pool. Hey, I'm serious. I think it would be.
You get the downloads. www. You get a whole lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Overnight Drive is the. We're on every platform. Spotify, every platform.
And how often does it go up?
We used to have a very, I'd say, lazy approach to releasing stuff, but we've been super on it this past year. This is the year, we always have the year of, like we always tell people, this is the year of, blah, blah, blah. And this is the year of just doing what you say you're going to do. And I got to do it. I mean, I've been talking about releasing a book of, this sounds, if you have heard a more pretentious sentence, let me know, but I've thought about releasing a book of memoir essays called Light Fabrications, and I want to get it done by the summer.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's going to be like 12 essays, some of the stories I've told in the podcast, but it's going to be a lot more, like, because I've had all of these, like, life is so long. Don't let anybody tell you that life is short. Life takes forever. Like, honestly, like, I feel like I've lived like 3 other, like, because it's like, I was, like, my high school years are full of, like, rich, vivid, like, stories, and I was blessed with a photographic memory. So, like, I was in the store with my mother, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember when I would used to take because I was a little fat kid, I used to take all my lunch money and save it up for candy and soda after school at Stewart's, which I still do.
That's familiar.
And I remember I was like, I took a walk with my mom, and I said, oh, this is the spot where I grabbed a bottle. Back in Stewart's had the big glass bottles, almost like 40s of soda. And I dropped it on the ground and smashed it. And for years, that one person who like told me to get out, and how to clean it up, worked there. And I was always so nervous when they'd send me to the store. And I told her this whole vivid story about it. And she was like, how do you remember? I'll tell her stuff that they don't remember.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and so I was blessed with that. So it's so hard for me to get motivated to put it on the paper. Mm-hmm. Like if only there was like something I could do, like just pay somebody to like write it out.
Yeah.
But that's like something I have on the burner now, and I'm just gonna like self-release it and see what happens. But it's all basically like it's gonna be almost like episodic, or it's like gonna be like 16 or 18 pages each, and it's gonna jump all over the place from like high school to 5 years ago to like last week, that kind of thing. It's just because I always have these things happen to me that. I don't know. They probably happen to other people, but it's like it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's been a wild kind of roller coaster life, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just get a job when they get out of college and just don't do anything, and they feel very rushed to buy a house and get 2 cars and have a kid and all this other stuff, and I just never.
What are you saying?
Hopped on. Oh, David, I know you have a child. You know what I'm saying? But, this is like the most typically punk thing that, except, well, you're not going to refinance your boat anytime soon. So.
I might take my neighbor's boat. They leave it parked in front of my house. It's rough.
Look it up.
It's rough.
Yeah, we can go out on a boat. We can tool around Lake George.
Yeah.
You get a little hibachi on the
I
back.
see that in my immediate future.
Hibachi.
Yeah, you get a little hibachi going in the back.
Hibachi.
I mean, I'm not. It's like the most stereotypically punk thing to say. Like, I've never settled down. But it's like I just was never in that.
I never expected it to happen to me, so it's not like something that
You turned around and there you were.
until probably 3 days before, I decided it was the right thing to do. Before that, it was the wrong thing to do. And I was saying just that, so understood.
Wow. just like that.
Like Avengers.
Oh my God.
That's a movie, right? That's a new movie coming out.
I can't wait for it to be over. And maybe I'm the only person that feels that way.
Do you want to just release like spoilers right now?
I could spoil it right now. Yes, I could.
Don't do it. That's so mean.
Oh, the dog dies at the end. You didn't hear it from me.
It's usually
You didn't hear it from me, but
what happened.
I like that Katie is actually worried that I'm going to spoil the Avengers on the podcast.
Well,
That's how
I
much
just
faith she
was
has.
not expecting the reaction in the office this morning where people were like, don't speak.
People were yelling at me.
Don't speak a word.
wow.
All I wanted to say was that I was surprised by how many people were in the halls crying afterwards. And there were a
my
lot of
God.
them bawling. It was crazy. It
I
was
just
not
don't understand the connection to these movies
it was
because
not an
they're so
experience that
cheesy.
yeah. No, they are. They're
I just don't understand it. Like, it's fine. We don't have to go.
of course,
through it.
do not mess with Katie's Game of Thrones. So don't do it.
Okay.
Wow. Game of Thrones, huh?
Yeah, at least that's not like cheesy. It's
It's fantasy. It's pretty cheesy.
I don't think there's a difference.
Comics
There's
and
not
fantasy
like
are
there's
the same.
not like dad jokes in it. I can't do the
I've heard plenty of dad jokes in Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
right.
They're like,
They're incest jokes, but they're dad jokes.
wow.
Well, they
yeah.
are.
Yeah. All right.
I've never watched an episode of Game of Thrones.
Well,
but
now you know. Now you know what you'd be getting into.
All right. It's
blind
basically
here.
the same thing.
It's darker.
I'm not. Yeah.
You did
That
say
I
we're
think
gonna get
that's
way
why.
dark.
It's more political and it's darker. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
I think it's.
But anyway,
Anyway,
now that we've totally lost the trail,
Yeah.
let's get back on
Well-
track and trail. Track and
I like when we don't have like a plan of attack.
yeah.
plan of attack.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know.
Like a mission
No, I like it
Self-taught.
to
too.
the podcast.
Oh, I thought I was bringing things to an end, but I mean, I don't know.
I was just addressing that. Yeah, we got off topic, but I kind of like that because it's like
We didn't even talk about people hating the mall again.
Ooh, we could.
people do hate the mall.
Love it.
Katie visited the mall
I
this
did.
week.
I went to the Skyloft
How was it?
soft opening.
How was it?
You know, it was.
You can tell the truth.
You can tell us. You can tell us. This won't go anywhere. It's fine. It's just basically like a TGI Fridays with a live music aspect to it. The sound is very good. The band was good that played.
Sounds good.
The food was strange.
So
There's
I'm gonna
food
see
options, but
a totally highly revered, hallowed band,
yeah,
punk band X at Skyloft,
which
Yeah.
is so weird.
which for $30, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be awesome.
yeah.
A lot of people hate it.
It's just,
But-
it's weird. It's not, it was like a reality shift. Like, I do feel like in some ways we are off on some broken reality.
People find
train,
the weirdest
but-
hills to die on. I swear to God.
It's
Look,
true.
no one was booking X in a basement
absolutely.
in Albany. So shut up. Like, seriously, all right? You didn't get snaked by the evil Footloose
Corporations.
type promoters at Skyloft
Footloose for
to like, oh well, X was gonna play my basement in front of like 10 raging fans, and then they suddenly got a better offer. Never gonna happen. None of these bands were playing anywhere else,
Yeah.
except for like Clifton Park, which is a drag to drive to. Believe
Yeah.
me, I know. So like, okay, so I can see a cool band 10 minutes from my house
yeah.
for
Take
the
an
same
Uber.
price. Take an Uber.
A Lyft
I
if
can
you-
be home by 10:30.
Well, I mean, so for me, I learned that sleep was coming and it said
Yeah.
Albany. So I started making calls. And then I Googled Skyloft, and there it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? This is mysterious. And I'm like, this is some new chic like
Yeah.
thing. And then I find
It
out
is very like.
then I find out it's in the mall. And I'm like, how is it that sleep is coming to a mall? And they're like, no, this is a prank. This has to be
I
a
thought
prank.
it was
yeah.
because I've thought about doing like fake events before, especially for April Fool's Day, which I love my favorite holiday. And but that's what I thought. I was like, yes, somebody did it. It's so good, but it wasn't. It just happened to
Yeah.
be true. But people were up in arms. Like,
I have my ticket for that.
The mall, what?
Yeah.
Whoa. It's like, don't be too cool for the mall. There's plenty of other things you could be too cool for. Don't let it start and stop at the mall. Like, don't even like have it in your realm of possibility when there's so many other terrible things that you could be against. You choose the mall. It's like that's what's keeping you up at night. It was like bands playing at the mall. Wow. That's like in this world we live in. That's the thing. That's where you put your flag. You're like, you know what? I let a lot of things slide this year because it's been a crazy year. But God damn it, if bands start playing at the mall, I'm going to pull my hair out.
Well, they were already playing there. To be fair,
right?
Jupiter Hall already existed.
Hall's booking has been good,
Yeah,
and
These are just bringing better shows.
No one's knocking people over to ban
Jupiter Hall. Yeah, it is. That is an interesting thing. I think the biggest problem that I could get behind with Skyloft is their like no hip hop thing. Which I'm okay, so because you're not familiar with something, you refuse to book it, or like because that's what it came
I have a feeling
across
that
as?
will change. It just was an initial thing.
Yeah.
The person who brought in doesn't really know the area in
Yeah.
general.
they were also
but who
like,
knows?
and they don't book locals.
So I do,
it's like,
yeah.
If they did, I mean, I guarantee if they book locals, people would all suddenly be like,
Well, I
"Whoa,
think that's why
okay."
people don't mind Jupiter Hall because even if there's a major act coming, they'll usually book a bunch of openers. Maybe I will say too many because I've been to a few too many shows at Jupiter Hall where there's like 6 bands opening for.
Do you go and play? Do you go and like play like skiffle ball while you're waiting for other
The
bands?
shooting range.
There's a shooting range.
There's a shooting
there with
range.
real
It's like
guns.
virtual.
Oh,
No, not real. It's like
fun.
screen and everything, but
That's
it's still
still fun,
fun.
though.
Yeah, enjoy
shoot,
it.
and you get to shoot baskets and maybe get some. We get a tower of beer. They have like a tower.
Oh,
like a beer
really?
Tower there, yeah.
Didn't know
It
that.
really has it all.
Yeah.
I've also been sponsored by Jupiter Hall tonight. Or
This
what is
has
it?
just been one big ad for Jupiter
Yeah,
Hall.
they're gonna splice it. They're gonna edit this down so we're just talking about the mall for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No, but that's just my.
Skyloft will be fine.
Skyloft will be fine. The
They
world
blocked
will
off
keep turning.
too, like the outside area, so like you can get drinks at the bar on the outside
great.
of the space
Wow.
if it's too loud, because it's loud in there.
I would rather that than people getting bombed at World of Beer and then stumbling down the hall to see a show. At least everything's contained, you know. Mm-hmm. Or I mean, I would love to have like a coffee and maybe like an Auntie Anne's pretzel. You know, get some new jeans and then go see a show.
Yeah.
Wow, call me crazy, but I think the world's
One-stop shop.
I think the world just might keep turning, whether or not Skyloft has shows.
I know.
Wow.
There's a lot of things to get mad about,
Maybe that's
Around here.
Yeah, like maybe
you
Yeah.
know.
it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, everybody.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all
You
right.
can go to shows wherever you want. You can make your own award show if you want.
You definitely could.
I don't recommend it
I
because
will
people get
commend-
really angry.
I will commend you for running a brilliant social experiment.
Thanks.
Honestly, I thought it was fucking great. The reactions after and during, I thought it was. I talked to Dave a little bit about it. I thought it was like the myriad reactions, from deep disappointment to anger, to
Visceral anger.
to deep visceral continuous anger, to like surprise, to all these things.
Appreciation.
Right, all of these things wrapped into like one event. I thought it was fascinating, like a real barometer of like where everything's at.
And you know, to be fair, we didn't put it together or conceptualize
No,
it
we
or run
didn't.
it, and
Yeah.
and we were, as Katie has done some great coverage of local music. She was brought in, and so was I, to add a few names to
Punch
the
it
list,
up.
and
Yeah.
just make sure that people were being covered. And it was the first year,
And it was put together in 3 months,
Yeah,
which
and
I
it was
think
put-
people forget.
yeah.
As was Firefest.
Oh my God.
This is the Firefest of award shows.
Well, that's been
Well, I
said.
read that tweet, yeah.
Oh wait, somebody actually said that.
Yeah, somebody tweeted that.
Holy moly! I didn't really mean to say that. Wow, I'm
No,
just
it's
kidding.
great.
But
That's a great parallel, though.
but
I honestly didn't know somebody said that. Wow. No, I
But to be there and be a passenger, just even for that night, was totally surreal. And it was like,
Right.
oh,
I was actually at Andrew's house in New York, and I was like looking at the stuff coming in real time, and I was
yeah.
like, this is all over the place. And Andrew and I love Albany Schadenfreude, like that's our thing. We love it. Like I would send him like sad Albany moments, and we're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow, like people can't have nice things, can they? People can't put it down for one night. Just have a good time. You can't do that. No, you get your opinion has to get out there. It just has to. People need to hear it. Your public needs to hear it. Like, wow, you can't just let somebody have something nice.
Well, I'm being told by Robin that we have to wrap it up.
Robin.
So
Robin Quivers.
thank you.
Robin Quivers has started work here now.
Thank you for coming in. And I'm sure we'll have you back. And especially, if the book happens, that would be really cool. I'd love to talk about that.
I will keep you updated. This is even more inspiration to do that. Thank you.
Thanks.
David, thank you so much.
I expect that in the liner notes.
I will. You write the forward.
All right. Settled.
See you.